Good morning and welcoming miracles. That's what we have for you today. I'm on the couch. My name is Sarah Sinclair and this is Suzanne Sullivan, a beautiful mystic at heart who's here to join with me just for a very gentle and soft and open inquiry because we've been getting a lot of questions and we were starting to feel that there was just this deep call in the heart of people and they were asking these questions. But we couldn't dwell just on the questions. We wanted to join in a deeper way with them, and that's why we just called this morning Welcoming Miracles.
Beautiful.
Because that really we feel needs to be our orientation. And so I just felt that I'd invite you for a cup of tea on the couch with me today and ask you some of the questions that we've received and just see what flows, really just see what comes with it. Suzanne has been living a life of devotion and service for many years, a very devoted course student, and she's done many pathways, but finally found this is the one to take her all the way into this experience of a permanent state of peace. And that's it, and that's what we're all looking for. And so
thank you for inviting me. I had a meditation this morning just before coming in the room, and was so beautiful. Just this open-mindedness is the state of being that is so beautiful, and through years of the mind training and things that we've been engaged with here, I was just sitting there in that open-mindedness and in prayer, so to speak, not really in supplication for anything, but just an open-mindedness for joining with you this morning, and what came through was kindness. It was so beautiful. It was just, I could just feel this experience of kindness, flow through the mind, and then I was like, okay, I'm ready to come out and sit with you in that beautiful awareness of the Spirit's kindness, and so it feels really lovely to be here.
And I always find you can feel everyone coming online. This is a live broadcast on Facebook. So we have people spontaneously joining us moment by moment by moment. So if you've just arrived, you're very welcome. And this is called Welcoming Miracles. And we are spontaneously sitting on this couch having a cup of tea and answering some of the questions we've received from you over the last while. But they're perennial questions, and I think that's why they're so powerful. So what we're going to do is we're just going to begin, and I'm going to share some of those questions with Suzanne.
Okay.
So, this is the first question. What is a holy relationship that the Course is talking about, and how can I practice it? Is it possible to just be with God, or do I have to have people in my life?
That's a very good question
for
me. Yes, years ago I studied the Course for many, many years on my own as a self-study, because I always heard it was a self-study. So I was really in a lot of resistance to reading other teachers and anything. I just wanted to be in self-study. And so I did that for many years. I practiced the best I could. And when I really opened up to Thy will be done, not my will, and kept hearing this prompt to go deeper, that's when the Mighty Companions came in. And I was quite resistant to even that. Like, I thought I could just really basically meditate my way into awakening. And so when you ask the question about, it says all over in the Course in Miracles, Jesus talks about you can't go home without your brother.
Right.
And I didn't really realize the importance of that until I came into the community, Living Miracles community, and started practicing deeply with others that held that same sort of deep desire for awakening. Like, it wasn't a secondary goal. I felt it deep in my heart. And so a holy relationship, my experience of holy relationship, is allowing the first steps of your brother to come in, and the Spirit, the timing of that is based on the desire of your heart, really. It's really up to you when that happens. And so it's not necessarily a romantic relationship, although that can be used. It's with everything. It's learning how to apply forgiveness to everything in your life, to all relationships, whether it's at work, at home, with children, with pets, with neighbors. It doesn't really matter. In those beginning stages of opening up to show me what a holy relationship is, then whatever is given in that moment is what is given. And to accept those as the means to start to practice forgiveness, because what we do is we join together, and when you have ones around you that actually want to practice the same thing with you, that you have this intention, then it's very, very powerful. Like it ignites things in the mind so that you can start to look at the barriers that keep you from the true holy relationship, which is with your source, with your true self. Yeah. So
what if you're living with people and they don't seem to have the joint intention with you? How can you use that for holy relationship?
Well, I think for myself, and I really only can speak from what I've experienced myself. That was my situation. I was married, and I was living with somebody who was a beautiful, beautiful being, but had no desire for the teachings or for awakening, and it was my sole desire. So at one point I had to look seriously at what was the purpose of the relationship. And that's when you start to see the difference between specialness and your desire to feel safe and secure, and as human beings, that's what we've done, right? We've almost collected people around us to make us feel safe and secure, and that certainly is what I had to look at myself. And it was shocking to me that I had said that I wanted more than anything this relationship with the Holy Spirit, and then I saw that I was hanging on to a relationship that actually didn't support that in a way that I was needing at that time to fall deeper and deeper into the true love of Christ. So I had to take a look at what were these relationships around me for. And I remember when I made some pretty seeming drastic decisions in this world, my sister said, what are you doing? What are you doing? And I said, I can't wake up at a cocktail party, And she understood that. She had studied the Course with me for a while, but it's like I had to focus. I was called to focus my full attention upon the kingdom of heaven. And I was very, very afraid to let go of those relationships that were ego props, really. Now, I didn't know it at the time. There's innocence underneath all of it. Truly, there's innocence underneath everything, which is so beautiful. When you start to practice forgiveness, you see that everything is just a call for love. But I had to take a deep look, and I think that that's where people, they pause a lot because it seems too daunting. Like, what is going to be sacrificed? What am I going to have to give up? But this is about opening up to the miracle. And this is what I did. I jumped off the cliff. I opened up to the miracle, and I can truly witness that there's no sacrifice. But while you're going through it, of course, the ego is a thought of sacrifice, so it's going to feel sometimes very jarring to that thought system, which has hung on and clung on to, literally clung on to fear. It's not really safety or security. It's wrapped up in that way, and it's all we've been taught, but it's not what it is. It's a big trick. So I think at a certain point, as you're, and it's gently down the stream, it's like, as you open up to miracles, as you open up to forgiveness, the Spirit has it, and that's what we can trust. And it can be a step by step by step by step, And it was for me too. For many years, I practiced the Course before I felt called even deeper and deeper and deeper. It's almost like you don't have to think too much about how it's going to be for you, because the Spirit will lay it out for you in a gentle, beautiful way, and with all the support you need. That's what I've seen with myself, is that whatever I've needed truly is given. And I needed mighty companions, and I needed people that I could practice holy relationship with in order to open my mind further and further and further into the miracle.
I think it's wonderful because you just equated people and bodies and people with a false sense of comfort rather than actual comfort.
Yes.
Because, of course, the Spirit wants us to feel safe as we're going through this, but it's a false safety. It's great that you brought it awareness. And I see here, when I read this question, it sounds like this person's at a point of choice, because it sounds like some people have fallen away already, because then now it's an idea of bringing people in, and you know, there's a question I hear underneath that. There's a call to how do you find these mighty companions? So.
Yeah. Well, you don't even have to look. You know, the spirit, you know, hears the call of the heart, and it's like it is matched with how deep that call is. It truly is. And so, you know, it's beautiful to be open and like to join on things that attract you, like online and things like that, but really truly for the deeper work, it will be given. Without a doubt, it will be given. In miraculous ways, it's given. And that's what's so amazing. I mean, I look around sometimes and I really sometimes I can't take it in how much the Spirit loves us, how much the Spirit wants to support us in coming home, to our true home. And so we have to let go, and at the same time we're being absorbed into this amazing light and this amazing awareness that we are never alone. We could never be alone. But some of those false idols that we've cherished, you know, Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, we have to question every value that we hold. Well, who wants to do that? You know, really, who wants to question the things that seem that are good? You know, I had to question things that were very, very seemingly good by the world's standards. And, you know, not just the things you want to let go of. That seems easy. But it's like you say, specialness. Specialness is something that we all have run around our whole life trying to feel safe by who we can get to love us and who can help us to feel secure. Wow, what will you be like without that feeling in your mind? It's frantic, actually. It's frantic. And it's the more that you go into forgiveness and practicing the purposeful relationships, the more you'll see how frantic that has been. And that's why I like the word enlightenment, not from all the concepts of what it's been, but how every time a concept falls, there's a lightness in the mind. And it's so crazy, Sarah, because you don't know until it's gone. You don't know how much stress, worry, fear was just pressing you down. And it's almost like white noise, you know. You don't even know it's there till it's gone. And so when you come together in holy relationship, in a safety, there's a safety because there's a shared purpose. All of a sudden there is meaning, true meaning for the relationship. It's just not wasting time or doing time and time. It's like we've entered into sacred ground with one another. And we've been together for many years. It's holy ground and it's beautiful. And no matter what seems to be coming up, we know that our hands are held underneath it all, saying, okay, this is just part of the fear being released from the mind. So how can you tell then, if with a frantic nature running, how can you tell if someone's being released from your life or being given to you for further going deeper in a holy relationship? Will you say that again?
Well, with that frantic nature running, that
like
lack
wanting.
of discernment, that wanting, that needing, that desire for comfort, and you're at the point of this questioner, and it's how do you have a way in which someone can start to tell or relax into what's given and what's not?
Yeah, I remember David, you know, in the height of my fear, he would say, just focus on what you're being absorbed into, not what's being let go of. And I always felt like that was so beautiful, because some are very obvious. And they're so obvious, you know, that you can't mistake them. So I think you just start with those. You know what I mean? It's like, it's very simple. Is this serving the awakening of my mind? Or is it promoting more sleep? Is it taking me deeper into sleep? This choice, whatever it might be, whether it's a job or, you know, even going out to a movie with somebody, is this taking me deeper into the illusion of a separated self, or is it awakening my mind? Is it supporting the awakening of my mind? And I think if you do that, I think most people are intuitive, And if you open to that intuition, and you're looking at it all the time with the spirit, right? You're not just looking at it from the good voice and the bad voice. The voice that says, oh, you need to get up and study the course, and if you don't, then you're not going to feel good. It's like there's a third choice that we're being invited into. And this third choice is above the battlefield of thought. And it's the most amazing thing when you start to open up to that. Because when you open up to that, these two voices no longer matter. They no longer matter. And so you're listening with a different ear. And when you're making these decisions in the beginning steps, it feels like you're actually making decisions. And the thing is that there's really only one true choice in this world. There's only one meaningful choice in this world, and that's for forgiveness, as taught by Jesus in A Course in Miracles, which has helped me see my thoughts are not true. 99.99% of your thoughts are not true. Now, there's a lot of relief in that to me. But if I can learn to step back and let him lead the way, even with what I'm doing in this moment, where am I to go, where would you have me go, for the awakening of my mind, you see, so for the acceptance of the miracles. Because the miracle is just a shift in perception, you know?
Yeah. So it's who wants to join you in looking on with forgiveness upon your life. If they got the
That's
conversation,
the
we'll have that as a
thing.
basis.
That's the most helpful thing.
If they're not into it.
And then you get to get really honest with yourself, right? Like, okay, do I really want this? Or do I want a little bit of both? Because I can tell you, I wanted a little bit of both. I didn't know that that's what I wanted. I didn't know that, but I was clearly feeling like I was being split. And that I had to make a choice. And at a certain point, the Spirit said, you have to make a choice, because you're going nowhere. Literally, I was stuck. With a pure heart and good intentions. But until I took the step off the cliff, I was riding two horses.
I think that's why people have found the companions that we have given them through the mystical mind training so helpful, because they were still in their regular lives, but they had this now contrast experience, a little bit like people when they've done 12-step programs.
Right.
They have had a sponsor, and so it's someone who's joining you in a specific way of thinking.
It's intimate.
It's very intimate.
It's allowing somebody into your mind. Do you know, I had a good relationship, I thought, with my husband. And after a few weeks in this community, I realized that we never even really communicated. We told each other what each other wanted to hear to keep some sort of peace. And it was an easy relationship, but there was no true communication. When people come here, and I know for myself, I know we've all experienced this, we didn't have a clue what true communication was.
No.
I mean, obviously true communication is with the Spirit, but there's layers and layers and layers of self-delusion, and layers and layers and layers of programming, so that when you come in to an environment like this, or you join with a mighty companion wherever you are, you start to allow the thoughts and the feelings to arise, and you speak them so that you can start to undo this programmed self. Otherwise, you just keep in this spin, in this loop of a person in a world trying to wake up. That's a very painful place to be. A person in a world trying to wake up. It's impossible. It's impossible. So I always say, it's so helpful to think of yourself as, I am awake and I'm tempted to sleep. That was, instead of a little form figure running around trying to wake up. It's like, how futile is that?
Right.
But the Spirit and the Holy Spirit in the Course in Miracles message is come unto me, come unto me. And you start to get a different perspective, and you start to witness the programming, the painful programming. It's very, very painful. It's not, and it's more painful as you start to undo the layers of delusion. It's like you start to see that unconscious guilt and fear that we've ran from our whole life and tried to organize everything around us so we could feel okay. Just help me feel okay. And it's like, we have to face that. We have to face that.
Well, I can hear and feel in my heart like that. Hearing you say all that sounds super attractive, and I'm sure everyone's going, but how do I do that?
I don't know if it sounds super attractive or not. But
I think it does. I think it sounds very attractive. It's the call of the heart. So I have this feeling that, like, it's like there's companion tools that are available as well, like the doorway. You know.
Yeah. I was very honored to be a part of putting the doorway together, and there are so many ways. That's the thing. There's no excuse anymore, you know, with the internet and with, oh my gosh, just since I've been here in the last, I've been with David for, 8 years? I don't know, I've lost track. But in that time, I've watched this groundswell of creativity, and just from the joy of being able to extend for our own joy of just like, this is how. And I've always said, and so have you, David has been the how. Yeah. Certainly, when I first was introduced to David Hoffmeister, I realized there was something that happened in my mind. I realized that it was not about somebody outside of myself showing up. I had a deep realization that I was ready at that point. I felt ready, like this is a symbol in my own mind. This is my own clarity. This is me showing up to say, okay, now it's time. Let's undo this together, you know? And so, yes, we have so much. Oh, we have so much. We have so many beautiful materials and so many different entry points, really, into how to join with mighty companions that have walked through this and do know some of the pitfalls and some of the delusions and some of the loops that you can get into on a spiritual path. And I certainly was in a loop when I met David. I was definitely in a loop of, I really had a very laid out spiritual plan for myself, and I really thought it was beautiful. But it was my will, is let me keep all the goodies of the world and come home. And it was very sincere, but it was killing me. It was really killing me. And so to open up to a deeper call, to have the courage to follow the steps once they're given. You know, I think we just had a silent retreat for a week at the monastery. It was so beautiful because I would have one-on-ones with people, and they would say, I really can't hear. And then I'd listen and listen and listen, and I could hear clearly that they were hearing. Yeah. I could hear clearly that, and I would say, oh, no, you actually are hearing. And they would, no, I feel confused. I said, no, that confusion is just the ego coming on top of what you're hearing. You're just afraid to take the step. That's fine. Be afraid, take the step anyway. And I think that that's really on authentic spiritual journey. There is doubt and there is fear. And you know, I used to have people say to me, well, you have so much fear, how can this be the Holy Spirit? And it's like, yeah, the fear was being unearthed. And it's like, I know that I was being led, and there was doubt. It was like right alongside of me, there was doubt. And Jesus says that in the Course. There is doubt. I just say it's part of the deal, you know, but you can feel that you're being pulled towards the light. You can feel it. And I always have felt like I don't really have a choice. I'm being pulled towards this light. And so, yeah, there's lots of ways in which, if anybody listening has a desire to really start to connect on a deeper level, and I do feel like the teachings that we share, the experiences that we share, they are the deepest of the deep. I've been around, I've been in many different, looked at many different traditions for many, many years, and in fact that's when I heard clearly I needed to choose one. Stop playing around. Stop window shopping. Stop window shopping spiritually. You know, I had a little of this, a little of that, a little of that, you know. And then I heard, choose one. It wasn't telling me which one to choose. It was just, it's time to choose one. And the Course was always by my bedside. And so that's when I started to get serious. And that's when, you know, when you really start to focus, and Jesus says in the Course in Miracles, to be in the kingdom of heaven is to focus your full attention on it. You know, this awakening is not for the faint of heart. You have to have a call, and you have to answer that call. And if you don't have that call, that's okay. You know, this isn't a horse race. It's like, just do what. But if you have something burning inside, and you feel like you're spinning and you're not able to get out of it, it's because you're not taking the step.
And I think what you're addressing is the fact that you need a pathway that is a complete pathway that will take you the entire way. You can't do a spiritual smorgasbord approach of picking bits.
It's very
because
focused.
it's the person picking. And so something like A Course in Miracles or the Awakening Mind Pathway, which is the teachings that we've gone in depth with David, is a complete pathway. And so any of these tools then they'll all support you on that. Like even the doorway has that transcending fear module as well. Yeah. Let's see what other questions we have. Okay. Lots of hearts. Lovely. Well, we actually started to cover that. What does it mean to use relationships for forgiveness? So you see, you heard the question already in your mind.
It means everything.
And what does David mean when he says there are no friendships?
We undo all concepts, right? It's like we have to undo all the we have to look at all the values, all the things that we value, right? And of course, it's such a ingenious thing of the ego, so powerful to set up all these things that seem so valuable. Friendships, family, work, I mean, it just goes on. And they're all false idols that just need to be looked upon with the spirit. So that if you're playing a role, if you're in a role, that role, if you are the Christ, the only role that is worthy of your holy mind is whatever roles are given to take you deeper and deeper into that experience. And so there's concepts that are undone, and then new concepts come in that and they just get lighter and lighter and lighter. For example, messenger of peace, right? We've heard this for many years. That was given as a role, so to speak, for myself because I needed something, because the fear level was so high as I took this journey that I needed something just to wrap me in a warm blanket, okay, now start undo. So I think the roles have to be looked at, the values that we hold, and it's funny because they're set up to be the things of this world that are the most important.
Like even the idea of being a good friend.
Being a good friend. Being a good friend. We have two friends here. They came in from Puerto Rico, and they're beautiful, beautiful. They've been friends for a while. And they're doing certain projects together and things, and they're undoing all the hooks of friendship, all the compromise, all the I'll scratch your back, you scratch my back, all the things that keep a good relationship in place. We're not here to be friends. We're here to be mighty companions. There's quite a difference. And the mighty companions will sit with you, and they will let you unload whatever it is in your mind, even if it happens to be seemingly about you. But there's something underneath it. There's a shared purpose. And when you have that, we have shared purpose. We don't have friendship. We have a shared purpose because we're coming into the realization that we are the same. And in that, there's just so much love, and there's so much joy in that. When all of that stuff gets dropped, because there's so much, and most people know it. A lot of the friendships that I had before I really committed have dissolved. They've dissolved, and then the ones that were very supportive then are still supportive. They're still intact and purified in a purified form. So it's deep. It's very, very deep when we start to really question these values that we hold. And it can be quite frightening. That's why it's nice to have tools and people that you can call on and say, did you go through this? Did you go through this? Because this is being pulled into something that there's no point of reference for, really, within ourselves. It's like, okay, I'm going to jump, but I don't even know what I'm jumping into. So it's faith, it's a lot of faith.
If someone is in that moment where they've relinquished some of the friendships or relationships that aren't really serving them, and like you said, what are you being invited into? Can you talk about friendship in terms of Jesus as well? A little bit, because there seems sometimes to be a moment when there aren't as many bodies around. Any suggestion for?
Well, I love this subject. This is about a love affair. use whatever symbol you want. But it's a love affair with the truth in the mind, with the light, with God, with the Father, with Jesus, with the Holy Spirit. This is a love affair.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's what it's all for. To know that you have a love that will never leave, that can ever be taken away, that you have to do things for in order to keep it. It's the most amazing thing to let go of this personal self-concept that needs so much. It needs so much to feel love. It needs, and it's all pseudo-love, it's pseudo-peace. It's like there is a love within us. It's who we are. And through forgiveness, as taught by Jesus in A Course in Miracles, and through accepting the means given, whatever that might be for you, and it's highly individualized, to be able to walk towards that light and let everything that feels like a contraction of the heart is just fear wanting to be released. That's all it is. It's not to be fixed. It's not to be processed. Processing can help maybe in the beginning stages, but it's to be seen for what it is. It's a lie. And that lie is standing in the way of your greatness. It's standing in the way of the magnitude and just being able to flow and be an observer, really to observe. And I love what's happening in the world right now. I've been looking on YouTube, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's like, it looks like complete and total insanity. But you know what I love about it? It's like the deeper that we go, and we uncover the darkness, like Jesus talks about in the Course in Miracles. And this is where a lot of Course in Miracles students and people on spiritual's path don't want to go. They don't want to look at the hidden under the subconscious guilt and darkness. And with what's happening in the world, to me it's just symbolic of like we're going for it on such a deep level. So many are going for this, that all the darkness is being uncovered. All the darkness is just being uncovered. It's just symbolic. It's not real. It's part of the awakening dream. It's like, it's just happening so that we can see, we are turning right into the light of Christ. This need not be. Who decides? Who hooks into that? No, I'm going into what I'm being absorbed into. Thank you.
So you're not afraid when you see it all coming up, like just bring it all.
It's actually, it's inspiring, it's deep. It's deep because what's being uncovered and what's being shown in the world it's always been there, right? But it's like, it's the mind. If you just look at it from the mind, it's not real, but not in a dismissive way. Oh, that's not real, that's just an illusion. No, we don't do that here. It's just an illusion. You will hardly ever hear that here, because the Spirit meets you where you're at. And if you believe in these things, then perfect. If you believe something you're seeing on the news, perfect. And it feels like it causes some sort of consternation, then use that for forgiveness. And want the peace of God more than you want the conflict. And you will start to be lifted out. You will start to see. The Holy Spirit is the healer. But you have to give that part of the mind that's clamping down on some certain thing that's triggering. You have to sit with it. Allow it to pass through. There's no ignoring here. We don't ignore our emotions or our feelings. In fact, we get very in touch with what wants to pass through. It just wants to pass through.
So the focus on bringing to the Spirit is rather than the story of what's terrible and happening in the world, is the fear and the upset that's being caused.
Yeah.
Keep the focus there.
Yeah.
And then it keeps the focus easy, because you can notice that you're upset frequently. And there's multiple stories then.
Yeah.
So there's...
Can we just pause for just a minute?
Yeah, anyone who's just joined us, you're very welcome. We're doing welcoming miracles today, and on the couch I have Suzanne Sullivan with me, and my name is Sarah St. Clair, and we're just allowing ourselves to breathe because there's such a download coming from the Spirit right now, we can hardly keep up. We need our friends who type 90 words a minute if we were to be transcribing as we go. But I think I'll just go over a couple of things Suzanne has just shared. She was sharing about holy relationship, and she was also sharing about like transcending fear and the experience of coming to the Spirit or Jesus as your first port of call, and allowing things to drop away from you in the world, like traditional friendships or relationships, and allowing that intimate relationship to come in. And then some of the tools that were coming up were the doorway, and that's ACIMcourses.com. If you want to check that out, I think we might be able to put that in a link in our feed as well. So those are just the types of tools that we have found very helpful. We're both Course in Miracles students. If you're new to A Course in Miracles, this is our Course in Miracles page. And really our whole lives are devoted to sharing the message of A Course in Miracles, which is that everything is forgiven.
Everything is okay. Yeah, and for those of you that didn't catch it in the beginning, I was in meditation and prayer before coming out, and all I heard and all I felt and all I experienced in that open-mindedness and communion with the Spirit was kindness. Kindness. And I just loved it so much. It just felt so soft, you know. I know that there can be a lot of fear as we approach, awakening. It can seem like a very, very fearful thing, but there is a lot of nurturing, and there's a lot of support, and there's a lot of care, and the Spirit loves us so much that He'll give us whatever we need as we turn towards home. And I think that that's really what I'd like to just share, as I'm feeling kind of complete actually, is just to be kind to yourself on this journey, and to, we're only ever forgiving ourselves, we're only ever in relationship with ourselves, no matter how much that person seems to attack you or victimize you or hurt you or disappoint you. It's only yourself. And isn't that, if that's the truth, if that's really the truth, isn't that worthy of your mind's attention and your heart's attention, to turn towards the kindness in your heart of forgiveness? Because forgiveness, as taught by Jesus in the Course in Miracles, is the biggest, most beautiful experience as you allow it in deeper and deeper, to see that you are the Christ, and to see that you are worthy of this experience of peace, worthy of it, and that you can't let form tell you what you are, that you are so far beyond that. And I just join you in the prayer. I join you in the prayer of awakening. I just feel so inspired to be able to just hold our hands together and know that we're doing this together, that there is one mind awakening and we're it. So I'm grateful for the invitation to speak. I've been pretty quiet for a couple of years. And that's why I was like, okay. So, thank you. And
I feel very grateful for having you on the couch with me this morning, because I think our lives are just devoted to showing up. Yeah. And there's just such a willingness, to have a download like that just come flooding out. There's just this willingness to allow it. Yeah. So I just feel so grateful to have you here on the couch and in my life.
Yeah, thank you.
So thank you. Thank you to everyone who's joined us today.
Yeah.
And do like and share this page with your friends, because there'll be many more broadcasts.
Mm.